Hello there. As bad as the live industry is in Germany, it's even worse in the UK. The special burdens on musicians caused by Brexit also contribute to this. It's now almost 2 years since Brexit, but British artists continue to suffer the dramatic consequences of this unprecedented misstep. And it's particularly bitter. Numerous British artists had massive concerns in advance, which have been fully confirmed now. Well-known British artists such as Midure from Ultravox or Visage and Frank Turner confirmed this to media. Frank Turner feels the entire UK live industry has been shaken to its core, that for many different reasons. The problems are partly the same as on the continent. Attendance has generally dropped by about 40 to 50%, barring very big superstar shows. At the same time, ticket prices for the larger shows have risen sharply, which has also helped the dynamic prices, the role of which Frank Turner judges to be fatal. In addition, many people still shy away from going out, while others would have fundamentally changed the way they spend their free time. Another factor is inflation, which forces people to keep their money together, which is why they go to fewer concerts. However, the situation in the live industry as a whole is very difficult, according to Midure. For British artists, the effects of Brexit would also come into play. And he says, the influence of Brexit on my work is enormous, and it hasn't improved anything. The additional bureaucracy is a nightmare for my crew and causes high costs. For example, my merchandise has been at customs in Cologne for 2 weeks. I have almost no vinyl more for the rest of the tour, and having it all forwarded in the post will be a lot more expensive. So now I have to close my online shop and wait for things to sort themselves out. It's a nightmare, and the UK government is ignoring it. The massive increase in costs is also confirmed by Michael Schmidt, president of the British Chamber of Commerce in Germany. In 2021, Brexit has, as feared, led to significantly higher costs for administration, logistics, customs, financing, and IT adjustments, while at the same time falling sales. British musicians are now experiencing this when touring in continental Europe. Frank Turner tries to paint a realistic picture of the increased effort. He says, Brexit hasn't helped, to say the least. The pandemic has meant that a lot of rules and regulations weren't worked out straight away, as nobody was out during the lockdowns. So it's all pretty chaotic right now. Because of the level I'm at when I'm on tour, it doesn't affect me too much, although my production manager has to spend another day working on the logistics. But for smaller bands, I think it's deadly. A lot of European festivals are also reluctant to book UK bands, which is difficult. Many artists from Britain have their merchandise manufactured in the EU to avoid customs getting in their way. That's at least said by Frank Turner. The reason is the deplorable conditions at the borders. Frank Turner doesn't have much hope that the situation will change. He advocates exceptions, especially for smaller acts when crossing borders, so that the high costs don't turn a tour on the European mainland into a loss-making business. But I cannot make him any hopes. There are no exceptions for the British here. But how do the musicians who advocated the Brexit deal with the problems? This includes, for example, Bruce Dickinson, frontman of Iron Maiden. He was already dissatisfied with the consequences of Brexit in 2021. He said, it's well known that I voted to leave the EU because I thought it would bring a lot of flexibility. But we artists, as the UK's largest export, can't just go out and play with all the bureaucracy. His calls for the British government to negotiate with European countries on facilitation for British artists drew a lot of criticism and ridicule from those who pointed out that Britons could move and work freely in the EU before Brexit, thanks to the European single market. And they are quite right. And a Twitter user scoffed there. It sounds like he wants the UK and European countries to have some kind of agreement to allow the free movement of people, goods, and services, almost as if we could create a union of European countries and a single market as part of that. Yeah, so true. The reports by Frank Turner and Mitch Ure make it clear how indispensable the free movement of not only people but also goods is for many artists. When merchandise gets stuck at customs or countless documents have to be filled out and submitted for the import of goods, this causes high costs and ultimately affect the income of the artists. These implications of Brexit are a problem for which there is no easy solution, as the EU cannot offer non-members the same benefits as members. Great Britain has just decided against membership, and this decision has consequences. Negotiations between Great Britain and the EU must decide whether limited exceptions are possible for artists in mutual travel and, above all, goods traffic. However, since they cannot be implemented easily and quickly, British artists will struggle with the consequences for a long time to come. And don't forget, whatever the British want, they have to give reciprocal. And that's what the British side does not want. And I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.